week's episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. Tekkadan decides to team up with the mysterious masked figure McGillis Farid, our resident Char clone, and Chocolate Man. Not to mention Mikazuki gets this much closer to actually having an actual harem. There's a lot of political intrigue and some fantastic characterization in this week's episode of Iron-Blooded Orphans. Mikazuki is already turning into one of the most complex main characters from just about any Gundam anime series that I have ever seen. But this week's episode was pretty damn nice. More build-up for how things are just going to get crazier in the future of Iron-Blooded Orphans, and I welcome its second season because there's going to be a lot to expand upon in this series. In fact, I honestly thought they were going to spend a little bit more time in space, but it looks like Tekkadan is this much closer to getting to Earth. The problem is, getting there is going to be kind of a risk, because they just got out of this sticky situation with Gallarhorn, who, thank God they decided to drop their guard when Kudelia Ina Bernstein was literally pouring her heart out to the entire universe. Basically, this was the beginning of her evolution into Relena Peacecraft. However, Tekkadan just can't go straight down to Earth. That's going to cause a lot of problems because Gallarhorn is still tracking them, so they're going to have to get some help from McGillis Farid, the Char clone of the series. He's going to provide them with a ship to get down to Earth, and they're going to provide him with the booty. Funny thing about McGillis Farid, nobody knows who he is except for Mikazuki. He instantly recognizes him as the Chocolate Man. And I have to say, I do like this twist. I love the fact that McGillis is actually going to be directly working with Tekkadan, although I still feel that he has an ulterior motive outside of just wanting to simply reform Gallarhorn and make it honorable again. Something's not quite right. He's always had something of an evil smirk about him, and I can't wait to see how that's going to unfold as the series goes on. Of course, there's probably going to be an intense rivalry between Mikazuki and McGillis, but we're going to have to wait to see how that goes. The rest of the episode is padded out with a lot of small moments which expand on the various members of the crew, such as Akihiro and Shino. Them have a training session together, and Shino basically saying he's more of a follower than a leader, but that's just the way that he would like it to be. And you can see that they're actually getting even closer with the other people from Naze Turbin's group. They're actually fearing for the lives, in particular, Laughter. She's really afraid for Akihiro. I think she's actually starting to get feelings for the character. I also really love that they keep developing on the relationship between Gaelio and Ein. Ein is a really interesting character. With every single episode, he becomes increasingly more interesting. I love the fact that in this one we get to learn that apparently he's half Earthling and half Martian. And because of this, he's sort of conflicted onto what side he should really be a part of. That and, of course, wanting to get revenge for Crank as well. At the beginning of the series, I always sort of theorized in my own mind that Ein would actually be the masked villain of the series, but clearly that role has already been taken. That being said, getting to learn about the backstory of a character is certainly a big death flag in the Gundam anime franchise, so there's a good chance that Ein is not exactly going to have a fairy tale ending, but we're going to have to wait and see. But this week's episode did end kind of nicely with the scene where Kudelia Ina Bernstein is basically working herself to death, and she gets consoled by both Atra and Mikazuki, and basically they're both going along with her plan, her entire revolution, and Atra suggests that Mikazuki holds on to Kudelia, basically embraces her and tries to console her and make her feel better, and this leads to this very odd, strange, awkward scene where he ends up hugging both her and Atra because they're all crying and letting it out all at the same time, and all I could think the entire time was Mikazuki is trying to build his very own harem just like Naze Turbin. It's strange, man. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans? After last week's action-packed episode, this was exactly the type of episode that we needed. A little bit of downtime, a little bit of characterization, and this is a Gundam series that does its characterization very well. I love the character of Mikazuki. He has changed so much since the first episode of the series. What I especially love is the fact that his whole life has basically just been murder, kill, kill. That's the end of the story. He felt that if you had to end a situation, it would have to be done so violently. But by seeing the actions of Kudelia Ina Bernstein, how she actually influenced Gallarhorn to stop their attack, realizing that you can stop conflicts with words, that's one of the biggest messages in the Gundam anime franchise, but they finally displayed it in a way that it came through the main character in just a really poignant way. It was done really well, and it's actually really expanding on the character of Mikazuki, who, like I said, was very one note at the beginning of the series. Little by little, you get to see his growth as he's learning. He's actually learning to read and to write. He's actually understanding that things are not always black and white anymore, and that's really interesting. It's also great that he now sees Kudelia as sort of like this goddess, kind of like how he sees Orga as a god, like he's putting her up on a pedestal, and that's driving him, and it's really, really strange, but at the same time, you can also feel the conflict within him as well, and that just makes him a really nice, complex main character for the Gundam series. He's a lot more tolerable than some of the other main characters that I've seen from a Gundam anime, like, say, Amuro Ray, who I just don't like Amuro Ray very much. I only bring that up because I literally just got done watching the original Gundam series with a group of friends who'd never seen it before, so I got to experience all of that again. So going from Amuro Ray to Mikazuki August is just very, very refreshing. This episode also just had some very nice imagery in it, you know, just more build-ups to seeing some more of the upgrades of the Gundam Barbados. It looks like it got some brand new stuff from the Montag group. That's the group that McGillis Farid, the Char clone, actually belongs to. I also don't like the fact that McGillis Farid is also working with Space Hitler. I don't like that character. Why is he back? Was there a big demand to bring this guy back? Ugh. We're all just waiting for that moment where he gets destroyed in an exploding ship. So all in all, this was a very good episode of Mobile Suit Gundam. On the technical side of things, artwork, animation, everything looked pretty nice. I loved all of the characters in this episode, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go from here. So any Gundam fan should definitely check out, and if you've been following Iron-Blooded Orphans, you got to check out this week's episode. There's some pretty big details that you do not want to miss. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 4 out of 5. Check it out, Gundam fans. But if you did watch this week's episode of Iron-Blooded Orphans, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below? Did you have a favorite scene from this week's episode? What do you think is going to happen now that the Char clone McGillis Farid is teaming up with Tekkadan? And what do you want to see from the rest of Iron-Blooded Orphans? Please tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching this review. You guys are awesome. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you would like, and make sure to follow us on social media. Thank you guys again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby!